gang, crash course, discovering your DISC. Question for you. Before this class, how many of you have actually been familiar with the DISC profile, have taken a DISC exam before, or had some sort of experience with what the DISC exam represents? I know a lot of you have probably taken personality assessments. I don't think necessarily personality assessments are as accurate or as acute at getting to who an individual is like the DISC exam is. So if you're not familiar with the DISC profile, DISC exam, you may have taken it and said, that's not really me, I don't necessarily agree with it. I would ask your friends and family, what do they think? Or would they agree with it? There's some attributes of my DISC profile that I don't necessarily like all the times, but when it's shown to my family, my friends, they kind of agree and say, that's spot on, that's pretty much you. So today we're just going to talk about the DISC profile. We're going to help you interpret yours a little bit more, and also how you can win with clients while working with any DISC profile. Fair enough? Let's get going. So looking at the parameters of what a DISC profile is, and looking at the sociability versus the task-orientedness. Have you ever had conversations with some people and really hit it off? Other people, it's just kind of a stretch. It was difficult. It was even challenging just to kind of get them even to respond in kind. Well, it could very well be they're just jerks of human beings, or you had nothing to talk about. More than likely, I believe it's because you guys just were not communicating with one another the way each of you wanted to be communicated with based on your DISC profile. So let's break it down. Looking at this slide right here, you see that if you're looking at the profiles that are more outgoing, typically, now this does not mean your sociability. This doesn't mean your ability to engage in a conversation. This just has to do with completely, if you're more of a typically an outgoing person or reserved, you see those with your high dominance and your high influence are the really outgoing kind. The reserved ones are the ones that typically happen to be more in the compliance or the steadfastness. If you look at the tasks, or look at the profile that are more task completed, it's more of your C's and your D's. The ones that are more people relational influenced are your S's and your I's. Does this mean that someone who is a high D, high C is a complete introvert who has no friends? No, it has nothing to do with that. It just means it's what their natural inclination is. Someone once explained introvert versus extrovert in a way to me that made a lot of sense. An introvert isn't necessarily someone who isn't social. It means that they need to be alone to gather up their fuel reserves, their strength, so that they can go be with people. And just someone who's really outgoing doesn't mean they're great sociability. It just means they need to be around people a lot, build up those reserves so they can go home and have a night in where it's just them and themselves. And so that's just a good way of looking at it. I am a very outgoing person. It's just also kind of like I have a juxtaposition who I'm also an incredible introvert. So I love people. I love to be around them. They exhaust me extremely fast. And so I'm frequently needing to spend time alone, time in. In fact, when we have people over to our house for a dinner party, I'm always quick to pick up the dishes and go start working in the kitchen. See, all the other husbands and wives, I look like some sort of saint. But the reality of it is, I just need a break from conversation. I just need 15, 20 minutes to do a task, to clean some dishes, to put some order and organize so that I could go back to being social. It's completely fine. It's just kind of who I was created to be. So let's just break down each of the letters, and let's see where you fit and also how that works so that you can serve those clients better in real estate. Fair? Okay, first one, let's look at the D's. High D's. What typically describes a D? Well, some words come to mind. Some D's are dominant by nature. They're motivated by winning. They're the ones that love competition and are high achievers for success. They're described as direct, demanding, forceful, strong-willed. They're driven, determined, fast-paced, and self-confident. They're kind of the ones that can burn some bridges in relationships because they put a priority on taking charge and accomplishing tasks a whole lot more they do than keeping everyone's feelings on board or making sure everyone's included. They're kind of sometimes limited by lack of concern for others, highly impatient, and they're typically skeptical. Being skeptical wouldn't be so bad, but they're openly skeptical, which comes across as hostile sometimes. Their biggest fear is being taken advantage of. And they value competency, action, concrete results, replication, and getting it done quickly. I am a high D. I kind of test almost off the charts for high D, which is really strange to me because I feel like I'm very compassionate. I feel like I have huge empathy. I can't watch a commercial on TV that has to do with even dogs being abused without kind of getting choked up about it. And so I've never thought of myself as a D until I got in working relationships, until I started to value my time and prioritize who I spend time with. And until I started to get good at real estate and see how much competitive I was at it. And then I just kind of had to come to grips with the fact that I'm kind of the most impatient, results now guy I know. It doesn't give me permission to be a jerk. It just it helps me know who I am so that when I'm engaging with others, I'm aware of it. Let's just give some examples of what D's typically do. D's are also, it's horrible, it's true, especially since I'm talking about myself. D's are more concerned with what other people think about them than they necessarily are if they've offended someone's feelings. You think it sounds completely irrational, it kind of is. A D wants you to like them, but a D doesn't care if you like them. High D's, they'll buy a car, not because it has the most reviews, it's because it's the sexiest car in the lot. And if you look at my car in the parking lot, it's true. I can't help it. I never thought I was a Mercedes guy. I love a Mercedes because I love the way people think I look in it. Did you hear what I said? I don't necessarily care how I look in it. I love the way people think I look in it. When you're working with a D, it's important that you know you want to kind of cater to them. So a great line to use when you're working with Ds is if you're telling them something they don't know, but you don't want to offend them because high Ds want to know everything. You say things like, well, as you already know, the price per square foot in this area is substantially higher than the other area we're looking at, correct? You're telling them something that they clearly don't know in a way that's not offensive, in a way that makes them think that they already knew it, so they can play along like, yeah, I do like it. The last thing you want to do with a high D is just out and out correct them. Especially don't correct them in public, because their biggest fear is being seen as vulnerable or being taken advantage of. So when you're working with a client, now let's move this next slide here is how to actually work with them in the real estate. So that very same fear of being taken advantage of, how do they feel if you say things like this? In order to beat out that other offer, just trust me, we have to put in a higher offer. See, trust me is a word you should never really utter with any client, especially not with a high D. You don't want them to trust you. Their biggest fear is that someone's going to kind of take advantage of them. You should show them the facts in a clear and succinct manner. So what does a phone conversation look like with a D? Well, a phone conversation with a high D should be short and to the point. It goes ring, ring. Hey, Andy, I got information for you in that house. 1234 Maple's available for us to see at 4 p.m. See you there. Bye. Click. That was a beautiful, succinct phone conversation. Depending on what your DISC profile is, you either thought that was incredibly rude or you thought that was just not getting to the point even quick enough if you're possibly a high D personality. I want to let you know that when you begin to leave voicemails, phone conversations the way that a client needs you to, it's going to take effort to not say things like, how are you doing? How's the kids? Because that's just naturally what you think you're supposed to do. Now with a high D, they don't care. They just want the information so they can get to where they need to go. Emails, voicemails are the same. In fact, with a high D, very rarely, and think of the people in your life. Do you have people in your life who you leave a voicemail for them, they don't listen to it, they just call you right back? They're a high D. Like, why? Why would they want to deal with listening to a voicemail when they know there's already going to be a call to action there needed to be? If there wasn't a call to action or a question, you just would have texted it to them. Like, if it was the party starts at 4, that would have been a text, and there would be no need for a response. So if you leave a voicemail, which you shouldn't, it should be very clear, short, and to the point. Again, same with email. No smiley faces, no emoticons. When you're dealing with a high D and you're leaving an email, house on Jones Street is available for us to see at 4. Andy. It's exactly. Do you have friends that don't even sign off on emails? How many of you know people who don't say goodbye on the phone? You'll be on the phone conversation with them, and all of a sudden you're like, hello, okay, goodbye. That's probably a high D. And it's not because they're trying to be a jerk and just hang up on you. It's like they talk to you so frequently, they don't see the reason to bring politeness into it, especially when you have a cordial relationship as it is. So Ds are wonderful to work with when you understand how to work with them. What's their real estate motivator? They want to win. Sometimes Ds will make the not smartest purchases in cars, maybe even houses, because they want to win. If there's multiple offers, they're the ones that feel like it's their responsibility to get their offer accepted first. When showing homes to a D, you really want to defer to them. Now, I know what I'm saying is some absolutes, but let's just deal with the absolutes so that when you get a myriad of different personality types, you know how to play it safe. So I'm just kind of giving you those honest statements. When I go into a department store, I feel like the department store sales workers just can't win. You see, if they're too pushy with me, then I get super annoyed. If they don't acknowledge my presence soon enough, then I get super annoyed. There really isn't a win-win. Have you ever noticed how it works like at Nordstrom? They are phenomenal. That's actually why Nordstrom was like my favorite sales department. They acknowledge your presence. They greet you. They ask if they can be of assistance, but not in a pushy way. And then when you say no, they go about 2 to 3 clothing racks over, and they just look really busy doing whatever they're doing. They're within arm's reach of me. They're attentive, but they're not like overwhelming me. That's kind of how we want to treat high Ds. If you're showing homes to a high D, you should not have your phone out. If you do have your phone out, it should be to get information on the property, and then you should tell the high D that. You should say, just so you know, I just have the MLS listing up here, so if you have any questions, I'm ready and available to you. You should be about a room away and just kind of follow them around. Let them do their thing. They don't want chit chat. They don't want you rattling off a bunch of words about the houses or talking about the curtains. They just want to do their thing. And if they have a question, they want to give it to you. Now, it sounds harsh. It's not. Until we're all eating crab louie on our yachts somewhere, we want to work with every DISC profile out there, and especially Ds. Don't confuse a high D personality with success and wealth. It's not true. There's plenty of high Ds that are working, scrubbing toilets somewhere. The DISC profile has nothing to do with their status in life. It has everything to do with how they like to be communicated with and how they communicate with others. And so Ds are simple to work with when you know how to work with them. The next one is Is. Is are everyone's favorite. If you're a high D, it kind of drives you nuts. And this is again where I'm kind of we're all actually contraries at some time. I'm also a really high I. I know, I can't stand myself sometimes. Actually, if you've been around me long enough, sometimes I'll say, I'm so sick and tired of my sound of my own voice. And I'm literally true. The D in me can't wait for me to shut up. The I of me just has to finish that one more sentence. It's like a can't lose proposition. I'm tormented. So who are your high Is? And probably most of you are. High Is are the people who like to be people of influence. You like to be recognized in a group. Everything you want to do should be fun. The jobs you have, the clothes you wear, to the shows that you watch, they're fun and you like them to be involved with others. They're motivated by social recognition, group activities, and relationships. Is are described as convincing, magnetic, enthusiastic, warm, trusting, optimistic. Is are wonderful human beings to be around. Sometimes Is are limited by being impulsive, disorganized, and having lack of follow-through. They prioritize taking action, collaboration, and expressing enthusiasm. Expressing enthusiasm. These are the guys that are saying, oh my gosh, guys, I'm so excited. Oh my gosh, guys, I'm so excited is a phrase only an I would ever say. Or another DISC profile making fun of the Is. They fear loss of influence, disapproval, or being ignored. The quickest way to shut an I down is, for one, ignore them, and two, have the process stop being fun. They value freedom of expression and the democratic relationship. They want to hear what you have to say, and they want to make sure that you hear what they have to say. So when working with an I as a client, they're phenomenal. They're really easy. Sometimes it can be exhausting if you're not a high I, but it's a fun exhausting. So let's look at the real estate ways to work out a high I. Remember to break out your worksheet. High Is. What should a phone conversation look like with a high I? So for starters, a phone conversation with a high I just got in the habit. These are the people who I am intentional about asking about their family. And so you don't call and say, listen, the Joneses are ready for us to see the property at 4. These are the folks we call, hey, I know you're going to have family over for the weekend. How did the party go? Let them tell you about it. Great. Just so you know, I've scheduled the appointment for us at the Joneses at 4. How does that sound with you? Is that okay? Yeah, that's great. I was saying I can't wait to see you there. I'm so excited to hear more about your weekend. That's exactly who the high Is are with, and that's how you tailor it to them. That sounds like a lot of work. It's not. I mean, just think about it. We all have friends that encompass all these different profiles. Who are the friends that you have in your life that are the high Is? Who are the friends you have that are the high Ds? And then you just have a conversation with your client the way you would with that friend. And so voicemails. Again, voicemails should not be clerical and clinical. These are the ones where you get to express and talk about their friend. Hi, sorry we couldn't connect. I really wanted to hear about your weekend. Anywho, we're able to see the Jones property at 4 p.m. on Thursday. I hope that works for you. Can't wait to talk to you then. Bye. Now, seriously, that's a great voicemail for a high I. Doesn't matter, guy, gal, young, old, some sort of variation of expressing interest in the fun that they had and hearing about their story is exactly what an I wants to hear. Email should be the same. You emoticon yourself to your little heart's content with the high eyes. This is where you get to bring out all the flowers, the smiley face, the poop thing, whatever it is that you want to do to interact with an I, you sure can on an email. How to appease, you keep it fun. The danger happens when you are in multiple offer situations. A high I can sometimes, for one, not pay attention to the details. So a lot of the stuff that you covered in the buyer's consult about having 10 days to walk away for any reason, a lot of the details that you covered about how we're going to write up many offers, it might have just glazed over. You were talking for like 4 minutes, they got bored and checked out. And so keeping them in the process, reminding them of other things that you said, letting them know that you are the one that reads the contracts thoroughly on their behalf, because that's one of the things they're going to expect, and keeping it fun. You miss out on multiple offers, all of them are reason to show up early and with treats every time. You want them invested in you, because they'll get tired of the process if they're putting in offer after offer after offer and losing. But as long as you keep them invested in you, these are the clients that are going to say, I'm so sad the process is over, we don't get to hang out anymore. I mean, really, isn't it wonderful that clients begin to enjoy your company and want to spend time with you? Well, that's your high eyes. And when showing homes to an I, stay close, keep it fun. See, let's just say you're a high C profile. If you're a high C profile, the worst thing you can do is give a high I the clinical, clerical information that you so desperately crave. So you walk into a home, it's 3-bed, 2-bath, 1,600 square feet. The septic tank is out back. It's only rated for a 3-bedroom septic. And it looks like that's a 30-year composite roof with about 7 years left. The I is just going to go, this is how you walk into a house with an I. Oh my gosh, I love the light. Look at those balustrades. Wouldn't this be a great house for entertaining? Oh man, I can see the parties you're going to have here. A high I kid you not, might actually buy a house based on the way it was staged. They just walked in, they're going to say, wow, you think they'll include that couch? I mean, they just love the way it looked, and that's how they would want to make it look, so they'll buy the house. True story. I've had clients who've walked into a house and been like, oh my gosh, I just love their furniture. Do you think they'll leave it? We haven't even seen the bedrooms, the bathrooms, the backyard, but already they love the furniture. That's the house they want to buy because they can see themselves living in it. Hey, that's great. That's good for them. I'm not going to be part of the detractor of that process. A high C is going to say something like this. No, there's still 3 more homes that we want to see, that we want to show you. If you're an agent and you're a high C, you might even try to talk them out of a house because they haven't gone through the process the way that you think they should yet. That's not the process for an I. That's not how they make life decisions. I mean, they're spontaneous and fun, and they're okay with the mistakes they make. I want to point out again how important it is that a high I will not read the line item in the paperwork, and how you really need to be on the Johnny on the spot, reminding them and reiterating a lot to them that was in the contract because they're not going to take the time to read it. So when showing homes to an I, have fun. Bring a margarita. Here we go, S's. S's are truly most people's favorite client. Why? It's because they're steady, they're steadfast. Any quality S word or stable you can think of applies here. S's are defined by they're motivated by cooperation, opportunities to help, and sincere appreciation. They're calm, they're patient, they're predictable, they're deliberate, they're stable, and they're consistent. They may be limited by being indecisive. Sometimes they can be overly accommodating and tendency to avoid change. They sometimes have fear of loss of stability or offending others. They value security. So let's talk about what it looks like when you're showing homes. How do you leave a voicemail with an S? Fortunately, about half the US population is an S or has S in their DISH profile. So most folks that you're communicating with are going to have a component to this. S's want stability. They are also not the folks that you want to say, just trust me. Just buy from me. Just do it. You want to help them feel confident doing it. So I feel statements are ones that you should use frequently with an S. So when you're leaving a phone conversation with them, it's really important that you ask how they feel about it. So even now, let's just make it to the most generic. Hey, the Jones residence is available for to see at 4. Is the Jones residence one you still feel good about looking at? Yeah, we still feel great about looking at it. See, feeling words are important to an S. It's not about the life of the party, or it's not about the price per square foot. To them, it's all about how it feels. So when you're leaving a voicemail, again, we have the Jones's property scheduled for 4 p.m. I know that it meets a lot of the 4, at least the 5 top must-haves for you, but I'm curious to see how you guys feel about it. If it's still a home you're really interested in. Let me know, otherwise I'll see you there at 4. You can't use the word feel enough times with an S. Email, it's the same. I mean, there's not really a definite way of communicating versus email. You could be flowery. The only thing I wouldn't be is just short. I wouldn't communicate to them like you're a high D. Definitely add some more color to it. And what's the real estate motivator? Not being taken advantage of is incredibly important for the D. In fact, that's one of their biggest fears. But if you take it to an S, they don't want to let anyone down. It's almost like they would rather be taken advantage of than let others down. And that includes you as their agent. So it's important to understand if you're working with a high S client and all of a sudden they are like, we're going to put the home search on hold. We're going to wait 3 to 4 months. We want to take some time out. The reason for it is what they're really saying is they're so unsure about this process. They would rather just not buy a house than tell you they don't want to work with you anymore. I mean, or they would rather not buy a house than disappoint you. It's crazy. And so they're the ones that are going to say, we're just going to take a break for 6 to 8 weeks. When showing homes to an S, lots of I feel statements. My biggest problem, this is the truth, I would bulldoze and just go right over, I'd run right over an S. Especially when I had my scripts and my systems and my tools dialed in. And S, I'd see the house was the perfect fit for them. I'd say, great, this house has 4 of the 5 top must-haves. Let's go back to the office and write it up. And they'd say something like, I just don't know how I feel about it. I'd say, well, other than the fact that you haven't seen other homes yet, would there be any other reason why we won't go back to the office and write this up? I'd say, well, no, it just doesn't feel ready. Well, you and I can both agree that we'll have 10 days to feel it out, won't we? So let's go back and put an offer in. I could get an S to do anything. And I wasn't trying to be a bad agent. I just thought I needed to help them understand what's so important. The reality of it is, it was really uncomfortable for a lot of S's. They didn't enjoy working that way. They want to be felt out through the process. Had I just taken more time to say, share with me why you're concerned about going back to try this one up. Yeah, I hear that concern. It's very valid. Yeah, I see your point. We'll tell you what we should still do. How do you feel about going back to the office and just putting in an offer? Remember, we can walk away for any reason. You see, you're still going to say the same thing. You're going to do the same behaviors, but you just want to take more time to let them express themselves, to feel what they're feeling, and then acknowledge it. When showing homes to an S, just be very, they're great. They're really easy to work with. It's not like, they might write a house up the first time out, they might write up the 20th house. It's not about there's a big motivator. They just want to know that you're invested in the process. So I guess I would say just be present. Be present with them. Be engaged in the process with them. Be dialoguing with them. If they hear that you have or feel that you have commission breath, that is like a need to close a sale, you're going to lose with them. And lastly, let's go on to our C's. Our high C profile. This used to be my least favorite client to work with. Now they're my absolute favorite. They're the easiest for me to communicate with. C's are defined by opportunities to gain knowledge. They want to show their expertise and they want to have quality and excellence of work. They're described as careful, cautious, systematic, diplomatic, accurate, and tactful. They prioritize ensuring accuracy, maintaining stability, and challenging assumptions. Sometimes can be limited by being overcritical, overanalyzing, and they isolate themselves. They may fear criticism and being wrong, and they value quality and accuracy. The reason if I was honest, why I didn't like working with C's early on is because I couldn't pull the wool over their eyes. And again, not that I was trying to do anything just shady, but a client would ask, why is this the house that you're showing me? And if I didn't articulate and know exactly why it was I was showing them, then they'd be like, then why are we looking at it? The truth of the matter is the reason we're looking at that house is because it kind of fit in their price range and I don't know, I didn't want to spend too much time looking for other properties. A C, that's not going to fly. They're going to do more research than you do. In fact, they're going to know the inventory in the market, the price per square foot in a given neighborhood based on their conditions better than you do. Think about it. They are looking for 4-bedroom, 2-bath house between $325,000 and $350,000 that are VA approved. They are hyper-specific. They spent 6 months researching everything it is about it, and they're going to start working with you. The way that shouldn't scare you, it should just prepare you. They're going to probably know more about this particular process than you do. So cater to it. Genuinely. Cater to it and mirror and match that. Start sending them articles. And so the best way to have phone conversations with them is to tell them, I'm going to put that in an email and fire it off to you so you have a record of it. They're going to love that. We have a schedule showing at 4 p.m. on Thursday with the Joneses. That shouldn't even be a phone call. That should be in an email with a time and a date and a stamp so they can have something to catalog it and be with. So voicemails, super clerical, again, super clinical. 4 p.m. with the Joneses. It's still that property. I'm going to scour the MLS the day of to see if there's any better value in any other homes that have a better price per square foot that I could also include in that search. Those are the kind of things the C is going to want to hear. You're doing research. You're doing research. You're doing research. How to appease? Just do a lot of research. Again, that's initially why I didn't want to work with C's, is because it required extra homework. But the reality of it is, the commission that you're getting paid is so huge. The easiest way to please them isn't to tell a funny joke or to be more dominant. It's just to do the homework they want you to do. So we show up to one thing I did every time I had an MLS printout, I'd always I'd print a version out for them and then highlight the price per square foot, just so I could give it to them. So they could just see, this house is $120 per square foot, the previous one was $132. They love that. They just want to know information and devour it. I'm also going to email it to you so you have a record of it. Great! Really easy to appease them. When showing homes to a C, tell the truth, nothing but the truth. I had a client, we were in a house and they asked me which way north was, and that way is north. Well, you know what they did? They pulled out their compass. Actually, north is this way. Why? I didn't have to lie. I could have just said, that's a great question. I'm not so sure if this is a house we want to put an offer on. I'm going to find out and get right back to you. They would have thrilled them. That would have worked with them as long as I got back to them. But what I do instead? I think that way is. They proved me wrong. When you know what someone's DISC profile is, it gets very easy at communicating. It can make someone who didn't think they were very good at working with people. If you can become a student about DISC profiles, you can communicate with anyone. All right, and then the last thing I want you to do, and you'll see it's on the worksheet, the last page of this, I want you to go back to help you become an expert in DISC profile. I want you to put 4 of your friends or family through the DISC profile. It's just really, it should be informational, conversational forum. So I want to know on the practice worksheet who they were, what is your guess that they are? Do you guess they're an IS? Do you guess that they're a DC? What was their actual result? And then describe them. Describe them in a few words. Are they analytical? Are they articulate? I want you to DISC 4 people, your friends, your family, coworkers, some of your loved ones. And this is really going to help you fine-tune so that when a client walks into your open house, you can go, they're SCs. Then know exactly how to speak to them, to communicate to them. All right, guys. Great class. I'll see you tomorrow.